Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes are looking to make a huge splash in the college football transfer portal. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you guys for making me your first listen of the day. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Let's talk about it. It's Deion Sanders season, aka it's college football transfer portal season, which we all know is when Deion Sanders thrives the most, right? He is the king of the portal, the czar of the portal, if you will. And the Buffs have quite an extensive list of visitors, interests, needs, and I'll sort of go over what Deion Sanders, after the spring game, said was his hopes and goals for the portal. Now, granted, he could have been joking, right? But it's still fun to see how close he'll come to this, right? His portal wish list: defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, two corners, a wide receiver, two running backs, a tight end, an offensive guard, an offensive tackle, and two centers, right? And I mean, most of these make sense, right? You want more defensive tackle depth. They need more talent at linebacker. Safety, you really need someone else besides Tawfiq Bayard and Antonio Branch, the freshman. And although Ben Finiseth is on scholarship now, and I think he's earned his right to be there, I don't think a team with him as your second best safety or your third best safety is a team that's going to contend for anything. So you need a safety. They got Tion Parks at corner. I don't think they're done yet. Wide receiver, right? I think we saw outside of Joseph Williams, no one in that spring game was really dazzling. And granted, the playbook wasn't open. They weren't really showing us a lot, but still, I think there's room for another weapon there. Running backs, you lose Isaiah Gustav to Virginia. Shocker, I know. That was the program that Coach Prime called out for tampering, and it was rumored that he was being offered $500K. So go get your bag, and I guess thank you for your service. But now the Buffs need more depth and more talent in that running back room. They need a tight end to match with Zach Atkins, possibly, and then some more offensive line depth. So let's talk about some guys that I view as their top targets who, I mean, if they land them, I think Colorado right now, and I'll sort of give you guys an explanation before I dive into why I think this portal is so important for them. If Colorado, say they don't add any more people, right? I think this roster is a 7 to 8 win roster with a ceiling of 9 to 10, right? Probably 9. If they add some of these guys that they're in the mix for, they're a 10 plus win ceiling, right? I think like 10, 11 wins is in the realm of possibility, but they have some improvements that need to be made, right? So starting with the guy that I wouldn't say he's the most important, but I do think he would change a lot of things for this offense is Javian Thomas, the Cal running back. He is a guy, 6.3 yards per carry, 626 rushing yards, and 7 touchdowns last year. And keep in mind, Jaden Ott, who transferred to Oklahoma from Cal, he's viewed as the best running back in the SEC already, despite having never played a SEC down. Well, I guess he played against Auburn, but he's never played a down of SEC football as a member of an SEC football team. Everyone's tabbing him. CBS Sports said he's the best running back in the SEC. I think Javian Thomas, who's visiting Boulder today and tomorrow, I think he's better than him. Right? His stats were better. He overall, I think, is a harder runner, more durable. Jaden Ott has been dealing with injury issues, and at the end of the day, if you're getting a healthy Jaden Ott, you're getting someone who's dangerous. But if you're getting Javian Thomas, you're getting someone who's dangerous all the time, and he's very, very, very good at making big plays. So let's sort of run through his stats real quick, because I think a lot of people, they think that this running back room is good with Dallin Hayden and Charlie Offerdahl and Brandon Hood, and who else am I missing? Michael Welch. And I think there's promise there. But again, until they prove who is better, or until they prove that they could be the top guy, it doesn't, I don't feel comfortable being like, yeah, we're set. We're set for this, right? So Javian, I mean, longest rush, 75-yard touchdown against Syracuse. His best game last year came against San Diego State, he had 17 carries for 169 yards. Down the stretch, he was as productive, but they were using Jay Nott a lot, and Cal's offense just not that good. So I think if Colorado is truly able to build a strong running back or a strong rushing attack in terms of the offensive line, things are going to change quite a bit. And also, he's the number one running back in the portal right now. So you land the number one running back, I think that changes things for you as an offense. And I think it changes things for you as a team because these guys all want to see other top players go there. Now, Colorado has already landed some pretty good guys, but I'm pretty sure him coming as the number 16th player in the country or in the transfer portal, I think he would change some things for the Buffs and sort of give them another boost. Another guy who I think we've talked about before, he took a visit. I talked to our Florida State guy, our transfer portal guy as well, Hakeem Williams. He's a 5-star recruit, Florida State, and he's a guy, didn't play a lot, 6'2", 218. From what I was told, when he is healthy, no one in college football can out-athlete him. He is a freak athlete who can make plays if healthy. I've been told he's been dealing with injuries and just needs to sort of get in the right spot, headspace, if you will, to really blossom into a star. So he's a guy that I think would be an interesting addition. But Colorado and everyone else in the country is pushing really hard for Keon Marion. 6 foot, 195, BYU standout. Now, a lot of people are pushing for him. It may come down to like who could pay him the most, and if that's the case, Colorado's probably not in the mix. But he does a little bit of everything, right? And I think that's what Colorado needs. Coach Prime was talking about how he wants more action, if you will, in kick return, punt return, because as a receiver, he had 24 catches for 340 yards and a touchdown last year. He also rushed for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then he did some damage on kickoffs, returning 18 kicks for 472 yards and 2 touchdowns. So a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. I don't think it hurts to get him in the mix, right? I think the more you have, the more weapons you have, the better. And I think it also forces Pat Sherman to get creative, right? If you're not getting creative, then you're going to have some issues. And then lastly, Colorado's bringing in a linebacker, possible linebacker transfer, and Jaden McDonald. He's visiting Colorado next week, 6'4", 232 pounds. Started his career at defensive back, so we've had some mixed results with those guys like that. But 25 career games. He started 8 games, 50 career tackles, 50 total tackles, excuse me. Again, you need depth at linebacker. I liked Martavius French during the spring game. He was one of my standouts. I think a lot of people are excited about Reggie Hughes, but again, you can't be like, we have this guy, and it's like, okay, who's behind him though, right? Because Colorado doesn't have depth at linebacker, and I don't know if they have the high-end talent that they did last year in Levante Bentley and Nikhai Hill-Green to sort of live and die by just riding with their starters. Also, that's assuming that everyone stays healthy. And I'm not saying, like, I know someone's going to get injured, but, like, you can't go into a football season and be like, yeah, we have 22 guys that are starters, and they're going to be healthy the whole year. That'd be great. That'd be a perfect world. Probably not going to happen. So those are Colorado's top transfer targets as of right now. I think that if they land all of them, or at least 4 out of the 5, they'll be cooking with some gas, right? And Colorado's transfer portal class is already ranked in the top 25. And so I think for this team to really, truly contend and push that ceiling even higher, their transfer portal class needs to be somewhere in the top 15. They obviously need to hit on a majority of their transfers. When we come back, I'm going to be highlighting Colorado's transfer portal additions and sort of saying or detailing to you, where I think they fit best. So stay tuned. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Game Time. Now, if you guys are going somewhere and you need tickets or you need an inexpensive way to get into the event, Game Time is the place for you because they have all the best deals. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you could be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. So Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, and even when the demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. That's why I use Game Time. They also have all-in pricing, which means there's no surprise fees at checkouts, which is super convenient because on some of these other sites, you're clicking on prices and it's like, oh, it's only a few $100. And then all of a sudden you're checking out and it's running you up to $1,000, not a Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON COLLEGE for $20 off. Again, that's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. We have a really cool interview coming up this week with someone who played really well during the spring game. So you guys won't want to miss it. Let's talk about some of the latest transfer portal additions from the Buffs and where I think they will fit in. As of right now, Colorado has added 4 spring transfers. And I think 3 out of the 4 will start. I think the other is going to be a key depth piece. So pretty good. Starting with, we'll go from who I think will make the most impact. You have to look at Xavier Hill, 6'4", 318, Memphis transfer, started his career at LSU as a blue chip recruit there, goes to Memphis, 2 really good years, was an all-conference guy. PFF graded him as their best player. So he comes in, he's going to play either left guard or right guard, which means he's going to line up next to Jordan Seaton. And I think if you really form this offensive line or maybe he goes to right guard because Zach Owens has been playing well too. So you really start forming an offensive line that has the semblance of a unit that cannot give up 50-plus sacks. I mean, imagine Colorado with a run game and the quarterback not running for his life every single play, right? I think that changes a lot, especially even though Kaidon Salter's quick, even though he's fast, one of the best dual threats in the country, he doesn't need to be running for his life every play. So I think Xavier Hill comes in, starts right away. He's probably one of, if not my favorite addition this portal class for the Buffs. He just does it all in terms of he could play outside, he could play inside. I think he's going to play inside, and I guess if they have to play him outside, that's also makes him versatile enough to do so. But I think he's a surefire starter right away. Sincere Brown, 6'5", 190, wide receiver from Campbell, starts his career at USF, doesn't do anything, transfers to Campbell, explodes, and now everyone's like, how does that guy move like that? He's 6'5". How is he that fast? He's that elusive. How is he able to make moves and create space and create separation in open space? Because Colorado's offense last year, a lot of it was predicated on getting the ball to the playmakers in open space and letting them do their thing. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the offense again, but that's clearly a part of their identity. So Sincere Brown, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he's going to make plays after the catch, which Colorado needs. Next, we go to Tion Parks. Tion Parks, really, really strong past season at Illinois State. I think he was one of those guys who probably a little bit under the radar, mostly because he was playing at the FCS level. But this is another prime example of Colorado's scouting department doing well. He allowed just a 37.8% of completion his way. And he played 729 snaps this past season. So he's on the field all the time, was an all-conference player. He's a guy that I think someone goes down, I'm fine with him starting. He also multi-year eligibility guy, so that's huge because Sincere and Xavier are not, at least unless there's some sort of complicated transfer portal thing there. And then they also went out and landed Terrence Love. Not a lot of experience, safety out of Auburn. I think he provides some depth. I think he could work his way into the starting lineup. 4-star out of Georgia, Fairburn, Georgia. Picked Auburn over Alabama, Arkansas, Cincinnati, every major program you could think of. I was just reading through the list, and it's alphabetical, so don't be like, why is Cincinnati in there? But he had nearly 40 offers from every school you can imagine, Miami, Michigan, Tennessee, Texas A&M, like they were all after him, right? So he didn't do much at Auburn. He's going to come to Colorado, fight for a starting spot with Tafik Bayard, because I think Tafik Bayard, I think he's the guy on defense, right? I think he's probably the best player, or at least could be the best player. So I like what I see there. And I think Colorado makes 9 to 11 more transfer portal additions. So I think they are far from done in the portal. So we'll see how that unfolds. When we come back, I'm going to be giving you my latest takeaway on the quarterback battle, how I think it'll unfold, and what I think the staff needs to do to really put this offense in the best position to succeed. But first, a quick break. Baseball season is in full swing. There's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for your daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. PrizePicks keeps every game exciting. Building my lineup. This week, I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run and Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. It's that easy. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. I always want to take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day and making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Let's talk quarterback battle. I think there was a lot of, debates. I think everyone viewed it differently. I think the spring game was not a true revelation, right? I don't think the job's won. I think the job there's still a ways to go before we really can narrow down a starter. But I'm going to run through some of the stats that stood out to me between these 2 quarterbacks, right? Kaidon Salter, 11 of 19 for 79 yards. He was sacked twice. He was also with the second team offensive line. Julian Lewis, 10 of 18, 63 yards, completed 55% of his passes, a touchdown and a touchdown. Kaidon Salter had the pick, touchdown and a sack. Kaidon was sacked twice, but you also have to keep in mind they're able to just two-hand touch him. No one's sacking Kaidon Salter with just a little push because no one's catching him. And then Ryan Staub, he was 2 of 2, 28 yards and a touchdown. A QBR of 382.6, so that's pretty good. But realistically, I thought the offense, and the stats are telling me this as well, thought the offense moved more with Kaidon Salter. I thought he had a little more comfortability. He was obviously limited because he can't run, so that sort of takes away his biggest weapon. But I think the battle is still wide open. But if I had to give a nod to someone, to be to Kaidon. Granted, Julian Lewis had some bright moments, but he also looked very, not frazzled, but he looked 17. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's a freshman. Should be going to junior prom right now. Should be studying Algebra 2 or whatever class they take in junior year math. U.S. history, right? He should be learning about World War II right now. Instead, he's in the college football world. And I think there's a bright future ahead of him. And from what I saw in that spring game, I don't expect him to start this year, or at least not at the beginning of the year. Now, if you tell me he starts somewhere down the line, I would buy that. But to open the year against Georgia Tech, I think they're trotting Kaidon Salter out there. And maybe they figure out a way to get Julian involved. But I don't think you want to break his confidence like that. And who knows, maybe fall camp will be different for him. Like, he got a taste of it in spring and summer workouts, and now he's going to put in the work, and it'll be a little bit different, and we'll see. But I think you ride with Kaidon Salter. I think he did better. And I just felt like the offense was moving more with him, and that's keeping in mind that he doesn't have the opportunity to run. So once Kaidon Salter is a full go, because obviously they were playing two-hand touch for the quarterbacks, I think Colorado's offense will be very exciting in 2025. So you comment below. Who do you think Colorado will ride with to start the 2025 season? Let me know what you think. We can discuss it in the comments. We'll duke it out down there. But I'm Kevin Borba, host of Locked On Buffs. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Tune in tomorrow. We have a special guest that you guys won't want to miss. I will see you guys tomorrow.